this 33-year-old preacher without a church.
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, "The two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born." I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
and I had to learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risk he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that first his school in the jail. He was around 13 years old with the jail fighting the
time it is. It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, and fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keepin' It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to all of you across the country, and good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to all those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I am Dominique Sharpton. I'm Reverend Sharpton's eldest daughter. I'm sitting in for the Rev today. Rev is traveling, as many of you know. Rev joined us briefly yesterday on Keepin' It Real and explained to us that he is traveling. He's in Chicago, Illinois, where on today he laid to rest one of his dearest, most closest confidants and friends, political strategist and community leader, who has been a stalwart figure in not only the civil rights movement, but in the social justice arena abroad, Brother Dwight McKee. And so Rev is in Chicago today, where he is joined by many others, Cornel West and the family of Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr., and so many others come together to pay respects and homage to the life and legacy of Dwight McKee. But it's Exhale Friday. It's Exhale Friday. So we've got a lot to exhale about. We've had a very informative and action-packed week, and we want to talk about it on today. And so it's Exhale Friday. You can join in on the conversation today by calling us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. You can also catch us on the live stream as we are convening on the internet, of course, watching via live stream, tuning in via live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. Good morning, good afternoon to our message board participants who always have informative conversation in the chat as well. And we've got a lot to do, certainly got a lot to talk about and want to talk about some of the things that, have moved us this week, some of the things that we've spoken about on Keeping It Real on this platform and other platforms, and talking about, of course, how we can stay involved, stay committed, stay driven, stay focused, and stay involved in the action. Certainly, we've got a lot going on and always want to keep it real by coming together and talking about it so we can, of course, be about it. We have so many things that have been going on that we've been seeing across the headlines, really that speak to the moment, of course, that what we're dealing with in this country, questions about accountability, questions about political power, questions about public safety and global conflict, and even the changing face of entertainment. Got a lot going on and want to talk about it, from talking about whether it be this issue on the federal grand jury declining to re-indict in a case involving threats against New York Attorney General Letitia James, to a Supreme Court ruling that could literally tilt congressional power for many, many years, to a massive media merger that we want to talk about that will certainly reshape what we watch and how we watch it. And then, of course, talk about troubling details as it relates about the U.S. military engagement overseas that we have been certainly discussing. So all of these stories and many more, those who have and want to exhale and get it out and talk about it, call in today, message us on the message board, and let's have a real discussion of action, of plan, and setting this agenda as we continue to move forward and uplift each other in this dialogue that we know is important and valuable to the structure of our well-being and how we continue to move on. As I explained earlier, I want to talk about this incident with the federal grand jury declining to re-indict in the case involving threats against Attorney General of New York, Letitia James. This, story is deeper than really a legal technicality. It certainly reflects the environment, that we've created around public service in this country. A federal grand jury has declined to re-indict, New York Attorney General Tish James, and as we all know, she has become certainly one of the most visible public officials in America after successfully prosecuting Donald Trump in the civil fraud case. And with that visibility, and we know and certainly know her career and all that she has stood up for and stood through to really get to this point and where she, is now sitting as the New York Attorney General. But it comes as a wave of harassment and violent rhetoric that has certainly turned into federal cases. And these cases are getting harder to prosecute as I am and seeing across the board, and as defendants continue to literally hide behind claims of political expression or free speech. And this polarized jury pool in America certainly affects outcomes because some jurors, see these threats as political disagreements and not necessarily danger. Black women in particular, Black women in power being targeted disproportionately, whether it's Tish James or Fani Willis or anyone else, the pattern is certainly clear and standing out. And when a grand jury actually declines to re-indict in a threat case like this, it literally sends a message, intended or not, but certainly this kind of intimidation may not always face consequences. But it just isn't about one defendant. It's about the safety of the public. It's about making sure that, there are public servants and those who are really out there, who are really trying to get the work done, who are really trying to make progress, who are really trying to really uphold the banner of what we believe in, fighting for equality, fighting for justice. And we've got to uphold them in the realm of how we protect our democracy and how we look forward to what's to come in the future. And so that case to me is definitely significant, and is definitely significant to see some of the things that this Attorney General, our Attorney General, remember I'm in New York, so our Attorney General is having to deal with, as she is also a Black woman in power. And speaking to that is in and of itself an accomplishment, and it is in and of itself something that we should always uphold and honor and work to protect, because it's very important. In other news, also, the Supreme Court hands Donald Trump a major win in the redistricting fight. Want to talk about that, the Supreme Court ruling that doesn't necessarily have Trump's name on the filing, but it might as well, right? The court has allowed contested congressional maps, maps that critics say even favor Republicans to stay in place. And it's major because, the redistricting really shapes elections before a single vote is actually cast. These maps can lock in political advantage, certainly for many years. And this court is continuing a trend, reducing oversight, weakening the Voting Rights Act and giving states even more freedom to really draw those partisan maps, and certainly in communities of color, particularly Black and Latino voters, will certainly feel that impact most, because these maps often dilute, their voting strength. And as we're talking about this, and we're talking about even yesterday with Brother Ozzy from Cincinnati, who was talking about how the Democratic Party in particular should focus more on targeting specific demographics of voters. And he mentioned, of course, Black men in particular. But even as we deal with how this strategy and this strategic win for Donald Trump and the GOP, as they have been positioning themselves, of course, for 2026 and beyond, we need to also be aware of what's happening, state by state, in terms of how these redistricting is actually certainly impactful towards the broader, scheme of how we cast our vote, and of course the political landscape that's being set up for future years. And so, with that said, we know that this is part of a long-term conservative project to really shape that battlefield on which elections are fought. And we've got to talk about how the relevance of it and the importance of it and impact of it. So we were talking yesterday as well. Disco Bryant was talking, and, I know he's going to call in today, hopefully to exhale with us, but was talking about, the significance in particular in Texas, and how important, of course, that state is to the political landscape, and how we look at things in terms of state by state, and how important, these elections, local elections coming up for Senate and congressional seats, and so many other things, how local elections are very, very important, because as we are talking about these issues that we are seeing happening, and as we were told, right? We were warned before we even got to the actual election results of what happened in the last national election. We were told that these things were going to be coming up. Cuts in Medicaid, cuts in government assistance, cuts in how jobs and justice are implied amongst us. So we've got to be conscious of this. We got to talk about it. And certainly the lines are open, because it's Exhale Friday. So we exhaling today. You can join in on the conversation. Call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back. More of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
I had a thought this morning that I wanted to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is, as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talent in my own unique way, and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones, and too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughter started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself. They got, they're doing, thank you. They're doing What's on Your Mind.
Yeah.
All right, then, we got a birthday this week. I got to talk about that.
Oh, no.
Happy birthday this weekend. And Carrie White's birthday, right?
Corey's birthday is today.
Yeah, and I got to tell Reverend Bird be ready Daniel 5th chapter. I want him to read. And I'm ready. Got a message from today, so we'll be on the air in what? Half hour.
About a half hour.
You should tune in to the WBLS 107.5 FM and National Impact and www.nationalnetwork.net. All right, I'm ready.
Oh.
Make sure you operate on time or I'll tell them how old you are. Oh, do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited, and you should be excited too. Turn on WBLS 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you. And if you want to, you can come to the House of Justice and be there live. 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We kick off at 9, and we don't stop until we deal with getting our people energized.
This is the first Thanksgiving I'm here in New York. Over 20 years. I'm just glad to be here with Rev today and to hand out the food. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's daughter, sitting in for the Rev today, taking your calls on this Exhale Friday. You can join in on the conversation today. Call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or join us on the message board. I got some message board chat conversations already happening and want to get right into it. Many of you know Rev is traveling today. He's in Chicago, but I'm sitting in the hot seat and want to talk with all of you. On the message board, I see that someone's already talking about this and recent findings of what we heard about as the CDC. Can you pull up that? The CDC has, the CDC Advisory Committee has voted to end the universal recommendation that all newborns receive the hepatitis B vaccine at birth. And I wanted to definitely bring that. Y'all know my eyes are a little bad. I'm sorry, y'all. But I wanted to bring that up because I know that you mentioned on the chat that it is indeed a sad day, and wanted to talk about that. So under this new guidance, only babies whose mothers have actually tested positive for hepatitis B or whose status is unknown, they're recommended to receive the vaccine at birth. And babies whose mothers tested negative would delay the vaccination under later in infancy. So this overturns certainly a 30-year policy that dramatically reduced childhood hepatitis B infections. Certainly want to talk about that. I didn't see the person. Oh, Joanne Kemp, 4834. The CDC just voted to end universal Hep B vaccines, and it's certainly a sad day. But why is this such a big deal, right? So let's talk about that. Certainly it obviously reverses, right, decades of successful public health strategy and universal birth dosing in particular that has helped to cut childhood Hep B infections by more than half over the nationwide. But also screening misses certain cases. So we want to talk about that too, because some mothers, right, are tested late or even inaccurately at times. And babies can be exposed, of course, through family members and other things. And I'm not a health expert, so, I'm just giving my opinion. But it seems that the infants, the babies, are the most at risk. And to actually rule, to even talk about this, I think it is a major discussion in terms of our healthcare conversation, because a baby who's actually infected with Hep B has about, as they say, a 90% chance, right, of developing chronic or lifelong infections. And adults rarely actually reach that level of high risk. And so definitely understand, that this is an issue. But this just isn't a policy tweak, right? It's actually a rollback of a strategy that has protected our most vulnerable children, our babies. And my thing is, if nothing was wrong with the vaccine and infections, because we could talk about that too, and they hadn't dropped dramatically, why change the policy now? So I think that's really the question. And certainly a lot of mothers who don't get consistent prenatal care, we are talking about that all the time. Maternal health is certainly something that is really big, and it's a real civil rights issue in this time. And so what happens to those babies whose risks are actually missed, right? How can you actually control that or be really accurate with including or being inclusive of all of those? And so I think this raises a lot of alarms. This could have serious long-term consequences and even subject children, babies, from birth to, even more issues health-wise as they continue to grow. So I think it's something that we definitely need to definitely raise the alarm on and talk about for sure in terms of what we can do to really combat that. Maternal health and certainly Black maternal health is something that is really, really, really critical in this time. Y'all know I'm a mom, so I went through it. I understand the complications, of course, that come around carrying children, and especially being a Black woman, and whose health situations are even different, right, than other cultures. I think that it's a real issue, real major concern. And even with the talk about the succinct cuts that have been proposed and even passed, and to some degree, in terms of the access to quality health care, the access to having quality insurance or even insurance. So many Americans facing losing, benefits to healthcare and Medicare and so many other things. I think it's really crucial to talk about that. So thank you for bringing that point up. I see a lot of folks holding on to exhale, and as always, you can join in on the conversation. Call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. I see my brother Rick from Germany holding on, wants to exhale. Good afternoon, brother Rick.
Good afternoon and good day to you, Sister Dominique.
Good afternoon.
I just want to say I thank you and your father for entertaining and taking my call the past 3 or 4 years. And you don't. I know in the talk radio business, you don't have to entertain everybody just because they call, especially if they've been a nuisance.
Well, you ain't one of those people, Rick.
I try not to be, but I know that some of the things I espouse are controversial, if not conspiratorial. I want to say today that I believe in Sir Isaac Newton's prediction that the world will end around the year 2060. That means we have about 34 years to go before doomsday and apocalypse. So I would say to your audience, number one, sit down with your family and discuss whether or not you believe what's in the Bible in Revelations. And number two, vote like your life depends on it, because it does. I believe we're near the end times, and I believe there will be survivors, and that there is a supernatural who will usher in a generation to the other side of apocalypse. But I also believe that most of the world will die very soon. But you have to get involved in politics, because if you don't try, the Antichrist will walk all over you. I'm done, sis.
Oh man, you're not done. You're not done, Brother Rick. I appreciate you exhaling with us, but I'm not spooked. If that makes any sense, I'm not spooked. And if what you say, I don't know, maybe God is talking to you, saying to you something things He ain't saying to me, and that's fine. We appreciate that, as long as God is talking. Let's listen. But I am not spooked. But I am encouraged to do something now, and I am encouraged to and inspired to, with seeing everything that's going on in the world, and seeing how we are literally nowadays. It's even pushed in our faces, right? Even more than it has before. We are seeing racism up close. We are seeing bigotry, pushed in our faces. We are seeing the alignment of powers that are coming together to dismantle and disproportion, to disillusion us in believing, that we have to be stagnant, that we have to be crippled, and that we can't continue to rise up and move forward and elevate ourselves in our lives without having someone controlling us and telling us what to do, how to do it, and where to do it with. And so I feel like, this is, we're living in a time, it may be close to the ends of times. I don't know. I read the Bible too. I don't know exactly when the end will be, right? I really don't. But I do know that we do have the opportunity every time we open our eyes, every time that we are granted the another day to live, to breathe, and to function. I think that we have that same opportunity every day that we are given to do something to make the world better, to do something, to do our parts, and making sure that whomever survives in the next generation, I hope my son is one of those, to really fight for what their lives can look like and what their lives can be by us putting in the work now to do something for what we can have and be in the future. So thank you, Brother Rick, for calling and exhaling with us. Certainly, we want all those who are interested to do the same. I don't know if we're going to a break. I hear that music. I hear the music. Turn it up. Thank you so much. We're going to take a break. Dominique Sharpton, I'm sitting in for the Rev today. It's Exhale Friday, so we are exhaling. You can join in on the conversation. Call us at 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
The fact of the matter is, Rosa Parks was not only the mother of the modern civil rights movement, she was the mother of this nation. Why would you say that, Sharpton? Because you called George Washington the father of the nation, but when he became father, we wasn't included in the nation. Women were not included in the nation. The first time we had a parent in this nation is when all of us was included, and Rosa Parks did that on December 1st, 1955. I heard somebody say Jim Crow is who she fought, and Jim Crow is still around. But Jim Crow is old. That's not who I'm mindful of today. The problem is Jim Crow has sons. The one we got to battle is James Crow Jr. Esquire. He's a little more educated. He's a little slicker. He's a little more polished. But the results are the same. He doesn't put you in the back of the bus. He just puts referendums on the ballot to end affirmative action when you can't go to school. He doesn't call you erase your name. He just marginalizes your existence. He doesn't tell you that he's set against you. He sets up institutional racism, where you have a nation respond looking for weapons in Iraq that are not there, but can't see a hurricane in Louisiana that is there. James Crow Jr. Esquire. That's who we got to fight. And if we are to win, if we are to really memorialize Rosa Parks, she would tell us to do in the generation of his son what she and Dr. King did to his daddy. They didn't talk a fight, they fought the fight. They didn't show up at funerals, they showed up on the picket line and the march line and the jailhouse. It amazes me that we sit here acting like we don't have work to do. And that many of us in our own community are mocking her memory. They formed a movement when they had none of what we got. You realize that Dr. King and Dr. Abernathy and them formed a boycott after Rosa Parks, where people stayed off the bus for a year, went to rallies every night, and they never had email, never had a cell phone, never could go online. Here you got 2 cell phones in your pocket, emails, computers at the house, and can't even get a block association meeting together. We've got so much more that they gave us, and we're doing so much less with it. They went to vote when people were threatening their lives. Medgar Evers was shot dead in his driveway, left 3 children inside that never knew how it was to have a father in their adult years, died to give us the right to vote. Pregnant women marched through the streets of Birmingham. They sick police dogs on them to give us the right to vote. 4 little girls bombed in a church in Birmingham, Alabama to give us the right to vote. And here you are 40 years later in Detroit, Michigan. No dogs biting you, no bombs going off, no bullets, too lazy and ungrateful. Making mockery of her memory. Making mockery of her memory. Nobody should have to beg you to vote. Nobody should have to beg you to stand up and protect the rights that they died and suffered to give us. You can't take care of one thing on the ballot in Michigan when they had to change the laws of all 50 states. You complaining about one referendum when they did a whole revolution and never fired one shot. And then you turn it around on each other. Why do I want my daughters to visit that stone? Because I want them to know black women are not hoes. You have music companies selling misogynist records to our children. Black womanhood was Rosa Parks sitting in dignity. She wasn't break dancing. She wasn't talking about pimp me out. She made the world respect her people. So I want to thank Reverend Jackson and Mrs. Jackson and others that taught us a little younger who Rosa was, and we got to pass that on. And I want to challenge everybody here today that when we leave here, you ought to make a Rosa resolution. You ought to make one commitment in her name to yourself. That you're going to either join some organization or you're going to stand for some policy. You ought to make a Rosa resolution. You ought to resolve that you're going to do something that'll make a difference, because we're here because she made a difference. Most people come and go, and we never come to say goodbye, because their hellos didn't mean anything to us. But we're here because she touched every one of us. And we need to make a Rosa resolution. I said to some of the young rappers the other day, talking to me about, well, you get on us about calling women out their names. I said you need to come and know the story of a dignified woman. They make the excuse, man, kill Patrick.
I'm Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's daughter, sitting in for the Rev, taking your calls. It's Exhale Friday. You can join in on the conversation. Call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Got a lot to talk about. Certainly, Brother Rick from Germany kicked us off well, but we got a lot to talk about, got a lot to do, need to stay involved. And certainly, I see the message board is chatting it up. So want you to also join, if you can, on the message board and watch us live stream, nationalactionnetwork.net. Over the break on the message board on live stream, they were showing a clip of Reverend Sharpton speaking at Rosa Parks' funeral. And certainly remember that time, certainly remember, and as I didn't get the chance to actually meet Rosa in person, of course, everything that she did and her stance to be unapologetic in the climate of what was going on at that time is certainly heroic, and of course has influenced me a great deal in everything that we are doing, that I'm trying to do and be involved in, right, to keep the pressure on and keep moving forward. And so I think it's a great moment of reflection. Those of you who want to look on YouTube, you can YouTube the speech and watch it at your discretion, at your time. But I think that it was a valued speech. And I've often heard my dad speak, obviously, like for many, many years in many different settings. But I think that was one speech that was one for the history books, because he talked about in terms of the systemic violations and discrimination and things that we are dealing with across the board. You know, we've got to be ready for the next generation. And if we weren't dealing with Jim Crow anymore, as our forefathers had to really deal with in terms of desegregation and having to deal with being separated in public places, from riding the bus to where we patronize in terms of hotels and restaurants and many other things. But they championed through that and worked and sweat and bled to get us the accomplishments and the victories to not have to do that anymore. So now we are considered equal, where we don't have to physically be separated from other races. But we also now have to deal with the descendants of that discrimination, the descendants of that bigotry, who still sit in high places. He was talking about the James Crow Junior Esquires, those that are now the descendants who may seem a little more polished or may, seem a little more educated, but who are literally still victorious in making sure that we understand that there is a difference, right, in terms of our skin color, in terms of the opportunities that we are granted and the resources that are available to us, and how literal laws can be altered and changed to dismantle and the people who are most vulnerable. Black and brown communities are still targeted to being perceived as less than, or being perceived as those who stay at the bottom and who don't rise up. And so even in this climate, and I'm often reminded of those types of speeches, those types of moments where people like the Rev have encouraged us to move forward, have encouraged us even in our idleness, even in our thoughts of, are we, what can we do and why should we do it, right? And what our actions actually are interpreting to be. Are we doing enough? And what is the significance of us marching? And what is the significance of us having these conversations with each other? What's the significance of it? Like, what is it going to actually accomplish? I think that is in those moments that we find strength. I think that is in those moments that we are rejuvenated to really be uplifted to do something in this moment. And so I hope that y'all, if anything, as we're exhaling together, also continue to recommit yourselves to the what we are doing and to the do something analysis of what Reverend Sharpton puts out so profoundly and in such a meaningful way. Let's go back to the phones and let's talk to Eli, who's listening to us from Atlanta on WAOK. Eli, you're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
And so are you, young lady. I just called to say you're doing an excellent job. I'm a broadcaster myself in Atlanta.
Woo.
And I listened to you the other day, and I was like, oh my God, she's so polished. You're delivering so well. And I know your parents have got to be smiling from ear to ear when they hear you on the radio. I just wanted to call and say you're handling yourself very well. What a compliment you are to your father, what a compliment you are to black women in radio. And
thank you.
I don't know where your future's going, but I know it's going somewhere. And I got my eye on you, so I just wanted to call in and say thank you for representing your father in such a wonderful way, and thank you for doing such an excellent job sitting in for him.
I appreciate that, Eli. Thank you.
That's all I got.
Thank you so much. And I don't consider myself a broadcaster. So when you said that, I was like, oh Lord, where's this going? But I certainly appreciate you taking the time out. It's really important to hear that. It's important to be encouraged to do things that you may. Y'all know this is not an easy thing to do. I am not my dad in any kind of way, shape, or form. But I do appreciate the opportunity to speak to you all. As we are really working to try to get some things done. And so I'm just happy to be a part of the team, and I'm happy to do my part to really put forth the meaningful conversations, and I hope they are impactful. We have cross-generational conversations. We have just conversations where we can disagree, but we can talk it out, and I feel like that is like what a family is, and I feel like I'm close to this family, and being able to have that experience is really, really amazing to me. So I just appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much, Eli. Let's go to Jewel. Jewel's listening to us from New York. Jewel from New York, you're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm just so impressed and in awe of you, Dominique.
What?
I just love it. You're beautiful. You're so talented. You're spirit of inspiration. You inspired my daughter and you and Ashley very much. And I just wanted to take the opportunity. The caller before me, he took most of everything I wanted to say.
Well, we exhaling together, and I know. Yes, I know, Jewel. I know, and I appreciate you too. Did you have something that you wanted to exhale in particular about? I know that we talking about a lot of things, and you even having a daughter. You're a mother. We're out here. I live in New York. You live in New York. And a grandma too. Oh Lord Jesus. So I know for you, that we are constantly faced with a lot of challenges and a lot of things that that we feel discouraged about even at times. But I don't know about you, but I know that for me, a lot of my motivation does come from being a mom. I have a almost 7-year-old who is very opinionated and likes to speak his mind now. He's telling me about everything that he feels. And I just want to continue to do that work so that he can always feel empowered in having that voice that he is developing, right? And I think it's important. And when our children's voices are suppressed, it does make a difference. We do see it, we feel it, and it resonates in the world, right? So I feel like it's important that we continue to elevate our voices, our work, our action agendas, so that we can continue to alleviate that space for them to be able to feel free to speak up and to speak out and to have that voice, that unique voice that's theirs, but also that will be prominent in the future.
Exactly. And that's why I appreciate everything your family and your father has been doing at Reverend Jesse Jackson, because we really are sort of like almost voiceless. I mean, we're seen and we have issues. I know I myself, I've been standing on the Stop the False Police Reporting platform. Thank God for that, because I have an incident where I was almost left out totally, and I thank God every day. I praise the Lord constantly. And with your help, I thank God that I have a window of opportunity to seek for the life, for the justice that I've been seeking, for the injuries that I have. And it's not easy. It takes a lot of courage. But with the strength from Reverend Sharpton and Reverend Jesse and Apostle Wayne T. Jackson, God has been making a way for me. Amen.
Amen. Amen. And I feel like that power of community is something that we need to tap into more. I often have conversations with a lot of young people, and the first thing I'm saying was, what are you connected to? You have all of this that you're complaining about, but what are you connected to? You don't want to be connected to anything. You get on social media, you're talking about this, you're listening, you're just reading about everything that you're seeing, you're going along with it. But where's your connection? Where's your community? I think that's really important. And so I'm glad that you spoke about your children. I'm glad that you're lifting them up. I think that's important, but I think it's important to connect community in everything that we are doing, because it is a very, very powerful tool to have, and that's the strength and power of having community. So thank you so much for exhaling with us.
Important.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You finished or not? You can go.
No, I just wanted to say that's a marvelous point that you made.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's extremely important that we keep our community and lift our children and express them always to keep God first. And this is the only way that we can stay strong, if we stay together and communicate with each other, stay in touch.
Yeah.
That's extremely important. Every day I post, I make posts, I repost things that I believe that's important to us.
Yep.
Do you understand? It might be some people might think, oh, she's posting again. Yes, it's Jewel posting again.
Keep posting, Jewel. Keep posting, because you're impacting us and you're encouraging us. So keep it posting. I hear that music, Jewel. I got to go New York. Sister Jewel, love you back. I hear the music. We're going to take another break. We exhaling today on Keeping It Real. You can join in on the conversation. Call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there, and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf, because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president, but we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're going to have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm going to keep marching. I'm going to keep agitating. And I'm going to keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time. Mariah, Chris, and your kids. And I promise you this. The only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again.
It's been a long time coming, but I know
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
I have a dream today.
They can't kill the dreamer. In many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
Rev, you know, you were right there
from the beginning
with the stuff that was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, but I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene with yourself, Bobby Seale,
right? Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question. What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the hair on.
Nah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. We went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK. Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is squarely on your shoulders and in your hand. And if you want to defer and give your life choices to others, that's on you. If they have any sense at all, they would be so busy trying to conduct and properly guide their life, they would not have time to try to major in your life.
This is the first Thanksgiving I'm here in New York. Over 20 years. I'm just glad to be here with Rev today and to hand out the food. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
It's Erica Ford, the Peace Doctor in the building. Here at the National Action Network, it's about thanks. It's about giving. It's about gratitude. It's about love. I feel it is important for you to understand that there's work out here to be done, but it starts with gratitude, it starts with giving, it starts with peace, it starts with love. Let's go.
Before we feed our family, we got to make sure that we feed the community. That's right. That's what it's all about. We got to come with Sharpton phones. You come and you make sure you show up, serve the community. That's what it's all about.
So it's become almost an unhealthy habit how much I'm listening to Keep It Real, because it is the realest thing on the air anywhere, whether it be online or whether it be on the radio or wherever it's coming into you from, because there's no one of Rev's importance and caliber who is as dominant a media figure as he is, who allows people to speak at length, and who he treats with equal respect and admiration with every call, whether he agrees with you or not. And I'm not gonna throw shade at anybody, but there are a lot of people with big platforms like the Rev has who are afraid to talk to the people and who are afraid that the people will keep it real with them. And he never shies away from anything any of us want to talk to him about. And he doesn't shut you up. It's not a soundbite, it's a conversation. So I would like people in media to learn from this man who is carrying MLK's torch. Don't be afraid of people. Listen to them, respect them, and stand in God and stand in truth. Thank you, Nan. Thank you, Rev. Thank you, everybody who puts this together and sends it out across the world, because we need much more of it. Bless you.
Keeping it real. It's XL Friday with the world's civil rights leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
You're live.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's eldest daughter, filling in for the Rev today. As many of you know, Reverend Sharpton is traveling. He's in Chicago, Illinois today, where he is joining a contingency of community leaders and spiritual leaders in honoring the life and legacy of Dwight McKee. Dwight McKee was a stalwart leader in the civil rights movement and social justice movement arena. He was under the tutelage, of course, of Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson Sr., and really formed a brotherhood and bond with Reverend Sharpton for over 50 years. And so, unfortunately, he passed, and Reverend Sharpton went to Chicago to pay homage to his life and join his family in acknowledging and celebrating his life and legacy. And certainly, we all do the same. That was my uncle like no other. And certainly, we are continuing as we continue to see, unfortunately, our leaders and our friends and our brothers and sisters in the movement and the struggle who have really fought, some whose names never make it to mainstream media, never make a headline, but they work and they fight and they speak up and they analyze and they contribute to the fabric of what we are doing. And that's the work that must happen for us to really see the overcome that we so eloquently sing about and speak about. That overcome moment happen and what it looks like for all of us. So rest in power to Dwight McKee, and certainly our prayers continue to go out to his family and Reverend Sharpton. We wish, of course, him, traveling mercies as he continues to step up and stand out and speak up for all of us. It's Exhale Friday, and as many of you know, it's that time to exhale on Keeping It Real. You can join in on the conversation today by calling us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phones and let's speak with Chef Kamar. Chef Kamar, listening to us from Chicago on WVON. You are Keeping It Real. Good afternoon.
Yeah, how you doing? It's Chief Kamara.
Chief Kamara. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah, I'm old friends with your dad. I'm really proud of you. I know you're making your dad proud and your parents are proud.
Thank you.
I'm gonna ask the rest. Say let her co-host with you because you're doing such a good job. I'd like to see more of you.
Thank you, brother.
Your dad and I spoke last week. I know he's been busy, but we're asking the community at large, the Christian community, Muslim community, take a stand on Tariq Nasheed. He's the leader of the FBA, and he has, it's almost like a cult. Your dad and I were talking. He's saying really, he's saying really horrible things about African and Caribbean people. I mean, things you couldn't even imagine Charlie Kirk would say, or the most racist the Ku Klux Klan people saying, and they encourage everybody to vote for Trump. He's anti-Democrat. He talks about the Congressional Black Caucus. He's come with a name for, African people and Caribbean people, and he's using the same propaganda that Nazis are using. The Nazis used during Nazi Germany. He's blaming all the problems in the world on African and Caribbean people. He said when crimes are committed, it's not black people in America, it's tethers, which means that's what he calls the, Caribbean and African people. So I got a petition out. I want everybody to help me with signing to say the same respect that Jewish people are being given, the same respect that the LGBT community is given, that African people should be given that same respect. And I'm from here as well, but I'm seeing it hurts my heart because there never was a time that we as black people would attack our own people in the name of Trump and the Republican parties. I believe this is their contention. This is what they want to do. So I wanted to see if I can get everybody's support and sign their petition.
Okay.
And
help give us some information where we can find it, if you can.
I would have our office text it so you can call our office at 708-631-4123. And that's 708-631-4123. And then you can go on the petition itself, and it's at change.org. And it's the ban Tariq Nasheed and FBA from social media, for anti-Caribbean, anti-African and Caribbean hate speech. So we want to get 100,000 signatures and have him removed. You just can see what he's doing. It's horrific. So I hope people would call me up and support it again. So it's 708-631-4123. And your dad is supposed to be me. I'm in Chicago, so I might if I can figure out where they're at, I might go and go up and talk to him. Can I call the office and get the address where the service is going to be?
Yeah, I think the services are happening now or about to start. So yeah, you can call us and get that information. And certainly, I'm sure, he would love to see you. Thank you so much for exhaling with us. Thank you for your call.
Were you familiar with what was happening? Are you familiar with that group?
No, I'm not. But I am going to look into it. Like, you best to believe that.
Yeah. Yeah, he did Hidden Colors, and he's definitely very critical of your father. He's very, very. He talks about your father so disrespectfully.
Yeah, I've heard like bits and pieces of it, but I try not to engage in, and people talking, that we got a lot of work to do, and so I probably have just tuned it out. So my apologies for that, but I will definitely look more into it.
Yeah, get your cousins, aunties, uncles, get them all to sign that petition for me, Queen.
I'll look into it. Thank you, brother. Have a good weekend. Let's go to James from Atlanta, listening to us on WAOK. James, you are keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Yes, how's it going, Dominique?
All right, how are you?
It's great. Hey, Dominique, you know what I believe? I believe that we will come out of this nightmare, and it may come out of it sooner than we expect. But we will recover and come out of this nightmare and recover stronger. I do believe that the best days are ahead of us on this planet. I believe that on this planet, planet Terra, planet Tara, planet Gaia, the blue planet, aka planet Earth, that the best, the extreme very best, is still yet to come. I believe we have thousands of more years on this planet, and we're not going anywhere. So I have a strong feeling that the best of days are still ahead of us.
I want to believe that too.
From this nightmare is coming. It's coming. We may be in a brand new world in 3 or 4 or 5 years. So
all right.
I just wanted to,
All right, James. Thank you so much for that. And certainly I believe, and not to say that, I don't love my brother Rick from Germany. I love you, brother Rick, but I do believe Brother James has a good point. I believe in, that we can see a brighter tomorrow. I do believe that, in everything that we are going through, we have seen, we have seen light at the end of that tunnel. We've survived a lot of crap, a lot of stuff from slavery moving on throughout generations of forces trying to dismantle us and trying to cripple us. We're still here, right, as a people. And so I do also believe that the people who are united, they say that people united will never be defeated. I do believe in that collective strength and unity. And I do believe that us coming together continuously will create a stronger force for us to not be defeated. I hear that music, though. We're going to take a break. We are exhaling on this Friday. You can join in on the conversation. Call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back. More of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is. Every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, to call in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton. Some people report the news, others interpret it, but there are those who transform it into truth. Ari Melba has redefined journalism with intellect, creativity, and courage. He blends culture and current events, politics and poetry, truth and transparency. And in doing so, he reminds us that storytelling is a sacred work. Ari understands that our narratives shape our nation, and he has used his platform to highlight issues that matter to the people, not just to the powerful. Tonight we honor him for bridging art and activism, for using his voice to educate, inspire, and empower. Join me, please, in celebrating Ari Melba, recipient of the President's Award of Historic Transformative Leadership.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. How are you guys doing? First of all, Babyface is 67 years old. We might need a fact check on that. What an honor to be up here with Rev and everyone else. When Rev started out, they said, he's just doing this to get on TV. Now he has a TV show. He kept along and they said, well, he's just setting himself up to run for office, be a politician. Now he has the politicians coming here to be accountable to you. We're celebrating his 71st birthday, God bless. I don't think he's planning to run for office in his late 70s or 80s, although people do that nowadays. I don't know if you've heard. So as far as I can tell, maybe he was doing it for the people. Maybe he was doing it for voting rights and human rights and being an advocate for people in communities where when bad things do happen, they don't have a local advocate or a federal advocate, or suddenly it doesn't feel like they have anyone who cares about what's happening to them. So it's funny, in the middle you can't always prove the case, but by this stage in his illustrious contributions to the United States, he's doing it for everyone. So shout out to Rev. I'm really honored to get this award. My grandmother was a refugee. My father's an immigrant. Like a lot of other people that I get to interact with, I'm very aware that my worst days are better than some of their best days. And so I keep that in mind, and I know Rev does and a lot of other people do. This award was called Leadership in the Arts. I'm honored by it. I love the arts. I won't say whether I've ascended to being a leader in the arts, but I will share with you the leaders I learned from. I learned civil rights from Sam Cooke. I learned about colonialism from Bob Marley. I learned about activism from Gil Scott-Heron. He said the revolution will not be televised. We're working on that. Rev and I are working on that. I learned about the media from KRS-One. I learned about politics from Public Enemy. I learned about police brutality from Tupac and about feminism from Lauryn Hill. So when I was growing up, I did okay in school, but I was quickly learning as a teenager there was all of the parts that
Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's daughter, sitting in for the Rev today. It's Exhale Friday. We're taking your calls. You can exhale with us. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Call in, discuss some of the issues that we've covered this week on Keeping It Real, or anything that you feel you want to discuss. We've got a lot going on, a lot moving in the world, and we want to be action individuals. You want to be individuals who are pursuing justice, equality, but we also want to be of action. We also want to come together and have these meaningful dialogues, these meaningful conversations that are impactful, that encourage us, right, to continue on our journey. And so we invite you to exhale with us on this Friday afternoon, as we are really, really working and doing all the things that we can to just move forward and just keep going. I feel y'all on that. Trust and believe. I'm trying to do the same myself. Let's go back to the phones. Let's speak with Doug. Doug is listening to us from Atlanta on WAOK. Doug, are you there? You're keeping it real.
Yep, I'm here.
All right.
Good
How
afternoon,
you doing?
Dominic.
Good afternoon.
Good. I need to excel about the Dominion voting systems. Are you familiar with them?
The what?
Dominion voting system.
Oh, yes. Talk to us. This is good,
Okay,
y'all. Pay attention. Go ahead.
They're run in 27 states within the United States. They were bought in October of this year. They were bought by a Republican election official. The company is called Liberty Vote.
Oh, I didn't know
It's
that.
run by a guy named Scott Lindendecker, L-E-I-E-N-D-E-C-K-E-R, which he ran a polling equipment company. So I look at that and I say, okay, so the voting machine company that was used most throughout the United States has just been bought by this Liberty Vote, right? And I think back to 2020 when Sidney Powell, Trump's attorney Sidney Powell, she was running around the country, looking at the different voting machines. They were doing forensics on the voting machines.
Okay.
So for me, the forensics was getting the software and being able to understand how the software works. When they buy the actual Dominican voting machine, now they got the hardware. Now they got both pieces of the puzzle.
Well, let's go
And then
back.
they got almost a year.
Who
They got almost
designed
a
that
year.
software? Let's go back a little bit because let's wind it down. Who developed that software?
I'm not sure exactly who. It's the Dominion voting machine. So
Gotta
they
think
have
about
their
that.
software and the hardware together, right?
Go ahead.
But then when someone does analysis on it, they do forensics on it. They're looking at how the software interacts with the machine, right? But then when they physically have the machine and the software, now I can begin to manipulate it. I'm an systems engineer, right? So I can manipulate the software so that when I install it in certain places, certain states or certain facilities, then it behaves one way. And I can install it in other places and behave another way. So I don't know if the Democratic Party has a way of tracking these voting systems and looking at the different versions that are being used and, keeping track of what's changing on them when the hardware changes, as opposed to, the software. The hardware is bought by Dominican voting systems, or the software changes. But it's going to be one package. But were you aware that it was sold in October, Dominion voting system?
No, I need to get more information on it in general. But yeah, you informing us, you putting us on to something important.
Right. Right. So they were the same company that sued Fox. Remember, Fox did that statement that the machines were tampered with or something like that, and they end up winning like $800 million or something like that. Remember that?
Very, very interesting. This is all very interesting.
I think that's the game they're playing. It's a long-term chess game. It's like we can take over the voting machine and the software, and we can manipulate it. And if no one's keeping track of the changes that are being made, we can change the software in that same machine. That machine's still sitting there. We can change the software to behave how we want it to behave.
Very
and
interesting.
I believe that's a long-term play. So I'm just throwing that out there. That's my Excel for Friday.
Man, thank you so much for that. And even thinking about that, you said something, you said that, we were talking about this whole, going back to, the substance of the news of what's been happening, talking about this whole redistricting fight. The Supreme Court handed, President Donald Trump a major win recently with that. We were talking about that. But I think that, as we look back, right, and even see in the span of a decade or so, and what's been happening in terms of, around voting rights, around the protections of voting rights, and how, I was talking earlier about, as we saw, Reverend Sharpton in that clip talking at Rosa Parks' funeral, there are a lot that we have overcome, including getting the right to vote that we fought for, that, that leaders, civil rights, the whole movement, it was a major gain in terms of our rights and gaining some of those rights that we know that we deserve, rightfully so. But that was a fight, and here we are, decades later, trying to
going back to Reconstruction Day.
Going back to Reconstruction
Day.
Okay, but here we are trying to literally pick up the pieces, right, and trying to figure out. And you talked about technology, which is a very central component, things that we did not have before that we are seeing now through AI and so many other, advances in technology itself, and how that can really be influential in the entire process, right? Because these are also stepping into realms that the average American is unknown. We don't know of. And so it's really important, like even as we're talking about, all of these things in the broader scheme of how we are actively involved in changing things or progressing things, we cannot lose sight in conversations that are meaningful in terms of how we got to this point, and what are those factors that are prohibiting us, or that are what am I trying to say, influencing us, right, on different levels to moving that forward. And so whether it's the redistricting conversation, which we can continue to talk about, because these are things that we are seeing happening right before our eyes, but there are other things that we don't necessarily see that are happening, as you talked about, in technology and other advances that have surfaced and are developing, that we don't see and we don't necessarily know. Why is it still that, they are still trying or still having to get these visas from, other countries to have, people come to this country to, to have those high paid tech jobs? Like, why is it that Americans aren't qualified to hold those positions? There's a lot involved in these conversations now. And I think that we've got to really be critical in our, not only in our conversation, but in our analysis of the conversation. So thank you so much for really delving in deeper here and really trying to give us a perspective that we may not necessarily know and can see. It's very important. Thank you so much for your call, and thank you for exhaling with us. I think we're going to have to take a break. I see y'all on the message board talking about a lot of things that are happening and what we're doing over the weekend. I hope that y'all are going to tune in before you do that over the weekend to our Saturday Action Rally. Rev will be joining us back in New York City at the House of Justice. Got more to talk about and certainly are going to exhale together. You can join in on the conversation, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. We'll be right back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
1, 2, 3, I got the feeling. Hey, baby, baby, I got the feeling. How I got that feeling, yeah. Hey, 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 got that feeling, y'all. Come on. Feeling, baby. Oh, I got the feeling, y'all. Can you put your hands together? I got the feeling. Oh, won't you say, baby, baby, I got that. Ah! Baby, ow! Feeling, baby. Ow, hey, hey, baby, 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 baby. Come on, sing it out. Baby, baby, come on. Baby, baby, baby. Can't hear you. Hey, hey. I got that. Thank you so much. My name is True Osborne. Humbled and honored.
All right. Part about the funding, but I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach Black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes Blacks. We want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight with the courts and the streets, because they're literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunities, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, which they started in Harvard with a Black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, that ACP would have been for together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation. Then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in this. I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talents in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me with other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones. And too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old. 11
years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughter started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with
Keeping
you so didn't do something before they
Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's daughter, sitting in for the Rev today, taking your calls on this Exhale Friday. You can join in on the conversation. Call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. I saw on the message board for those watching on live stream, y'all been talking about what y'all gonna watch this weekend as you're in your retreating mode or whatever it is that y'all are doing. Well, let me just add in on this conversation while we're exhaling. So did y'all hear that Netflix is set to buy Warner Brothers in this multi-billion-dollar deal? Now, I want to talk about this because it really is a shift in, of course, entertainment. And as we know it to be, long are the days, or the days are coming to an end, right? Where we could just turn on the TV and just flick and surf the television to find something to watch. Well, now we're going to have to be a little more intentional, right? of American entertainment, as I mentioned, but also Netflix will become the most powerful entertainment company in the world. And it's a streaming service. So if this acquisition actually goes through, just wanted to just lay that out there that, Netflix will now become and now control, outlets and companies and entertainment phenomenons, industries like DC Universe, like HBO's catalog, Warner Brothers, Cartoon Network, the CNN content streams. That's a lot of power, right, to have in entertainment. And so, this dwarfs the whole Disney phenomenon and the Disney and Fox merger. But it certainly also ends, the traditional studio system. And with Warner Brothers, being certainly one of Hollywood's original pillars. I mean, it's almost 100 years old. Being acquired, really does signal the end to some of the legacy studio dominance, the creativity that happens when creating programs, impactful programs, and programs of cultural influence and significance, because now it's going to be creativity that people, writers and actors and those who are involved and have careers in entertainment will be stifled, very, very significantly. And so this is real serious, writers, directors, actors, those who are involved, the job market in terms of entertainment industry is enormous. That's going to be cut down. So it's a lot going on. And I feel like, as we're talking about this, I know that I saw that on the chat. So I just wanted to just bring that to everyone's attention. I'm like, did y'all know about this? Did y'all hear about what's going on with Netflix? Because it's definitely caught my attention. And I'm just like, wow, what happens next? Because the cultural impact on that will be certainly enormous. Okay. Talking about narrowing our narratives, the news and information that we are accessible to, and the many different outlets that we have trusted upon for many years, all kind of, stifled by things that are happening like this. So this is a real cultural shift. It's not just in dealing with the economy and, of course, the economic ramifications that come along with it, but certainly a shift in our culture. And I can't, I just taught my dad how to stream on these platforms. I just taught him how to get a Netflix account. And so, I know that there's a lot of cross-generational conversation. Some people probably like, what is Netflix? What's Dominique talking about? But I hope that we're not, that far along gone. But I'm just like, I just got dad to just, to tap in to all of these streaming services and how, he can find things that are important to watch and tap into. So I just wanted to share that. I don't know if y'all had any take on that, but wanted to share that. Let's go back to the phones and exhale together. Did we hear from David? David from Maryland, are you there on line 3? You're keeping it real.
Yes, I am.
Good afternoon.
And thank you. Yes, good afternoon, Dominique, and thank you for taking my call. Listen, I just want to tell you, thank you for you and what your father do. I have a lot of respect for your father because he has made sacrifices. And without sacrifices, the Bible says, and the Holy Book says, there is no gain. I was in prison as a young man in my 20s, and it was one of the most serious prisons in this country at that time because it was so racially diverse, and they sent some of us there to be attacked by, because Terre Hudson, Indiana, and that's the hard Ku Klux Klan territory when I was in my 20s and 30s. I'm 77 now.
Wow, God bless you.
Dominique, let me tell you, one of the greatest books I ever read when I was there was Message to the Black Man.
Say that again, Message to the Black Man?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead.
By Elijah Muhammad. And when he made the statement, and I guys all our listeners to read it about our unity. He said overnight we can change our condition if we unify. This is the things you were saying. But here's my whole point. There are some things that nobody can keep us from achieving. I go across the country. I live in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
In Maryland, there is vast amounts of territory for sale, land for sale.
Mm-hmm.
Dominique, if we put our monies together, if we if we have our interests, but if we put our monies together and purchase land, what have you, as families,
Yes.
we can develop. Let me just, I meet with my lawyer. I'm 77.
Mm-hmm.
I have terminal disease. I meet with my lawyer this coming week. My daughter and I, properties. All I'm saying is that we can change certain things overnight by getting with our families, saying, hey, there's 5 acres of land over there. Okay, who's got the best credit? Okay, let's everybody put $500, $1,000 in together, and we can achieve something to pass on. Your dad, let me tell you why us on the street got a lot of respect for your dad. Your dad's been through it.
Mm-hmm.
He went to jail in Puerto Rico.
I
Your
visited
dad
him.
has
I know.
gone. Your dad has gone. And he sacrificed his whole life as sacrifice. Look at it, everybody who's listening. Saturday, Sunday. Her father sacrificed. There is no gain.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible. So we don't want to sacrifice. A lot of us don't want to hurt. A lot of us don't want to die and pass stuff on because we want to be so much entertained ourselves by Netflix and all the other stuff. We got to sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 77. I may have 10 years. I may have a year.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I can't take that stuff with me.
Mm-hmm.
I got to sit down with my daughter next week and the lawyer working out the passes of the trust, their trust will, to pass it on to her, what have you. And she select one of her offspring to pass it on to.
That's right.
We can change. Somebody's got to sacrifice. That's all I'm trying to say.
It's a
Listen
smart
to
daughter.
y'all. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you for exhaling with us. I wanted to pull that comment up on the message board, read some of the message board comments, because I got to give love to the message board. Y'all got me spinning in here today. So I'm like, let's talk to the message board. But the democracy.fund, I think you were right and spot on. Everyone needs to learn how to use VPNs in case they shut the internet down. I think that's a very powerful comment. And somebody else said to keep the antenna TV alive. I don't necessarily even remember the antenna TV. I'm too young to even remember that, but I do hear a lot of stories about the antenna television days and how you only had a few stations where you had the antenna. You had to make sure that the antenna was positioned right so that you could get the signal to see the very few channels that did come through once you got the antenna. Well, let's talk about the fact that we now got televisions right in every room if we want, and we had to even overcome to get to the color TV. So I don't remember, TV being in black and white, but I do remember being younger, watching shows that was still in black and white. I'm old enough to remember that, but absolutely need to, of course, tap into what's happening in technology, what's happening, as we mentioned, with the streaming services, many that cost, right, to be able to participate in and watching content, and that content is even now more controlled on these streaming networks that you have to actually pay to and subscribe to in order to participate in order to view. So things are swiftly moving and changing on many different levels in terms of that and technology, and we've got to be up on it. We've got to stay privy to it. I remember that crackdown recently. Netflix was like, you can't even share your password. So, if I'm trying to teach my dad or my mom or someone else, how to even use the platform, can't even share it. We have to have, individual subscriptions. So there's a lot going on in terms of how this is being monetized and how it's affecting us overall. But really important is that content. Somebody was talking about that in the chat as well. The content and having the control and having the creative wherewithal in order to get our stories out there and to get our stories told. We are walking and living history. Every one of us has a story, right? And so now it's like, how do we teach our children, the next generation, these historic references through television, through film, when there's a narrower space for creativity to be expressive and to be accessible. And so I think that that's really important to also talk about. And don't think that it's a coincidence, right? That these things are happening in connection with what's going on in the education system, how Black history is being taken out of schools and how they're really trying to shape and narrow down on the curriculum and what is actually being taught. Education is a key component to this. And so don't think that these things are not all coupling together and working hand in hand. And we've got to really think about that and really be strategic in how we move through that. But thank you so much for bringing that and exhaling with us. I don't know if we're going to have more time to get to a caller. I hear that music. Reverend Charles Williams is going to be joining us after the break for the last hour of our Exhale Day. But we're exhaling together. You can join in on the conversation. Call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back. More of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Church, I want to present to you a man of God, a man of his community, the Reverend Howard Hundley.
Together. Yes, I am. Trouble don't last always. I'm so glad. Yes, I am. Trouble don't last always. Can I get a witness? I'm so glad. Trouble don't last always.
Please receive one of the greatest voices for the urban community. One, amen. Not them yet. This is one of the greatest voices, not many of the greatest voices. We're going to adjust the program quickly at this time. This man has spoken out. He stood on the front line. He has been a man for the people, of the people. Please receive Reverend Al Sharpton.
Thank you, Bishop. To the Franklin family and to all of us gathered, Aretha Franklin was not only an unparalleled artist, she was a civil rights activist and freedom fighter. It is easy to celebrate the gifts that God gives. It is more difficult when someone uses those gifts in ways that enhances humanity. Aretha Franklin was given special gifts, but she used it in a special way. And she would not want us to celebrate her without talking about she stood for something. She never shamed us. She never disgraced us. She never made us make excuses for her. She represented the best in our community, and she fought for our community until the end. I first met Miss Franklin when I was a teenager. I'd become youth director of New York Operation Breadbasket, and she would come to the strategy meetings with Reverend Jackson. And I would hear the stories of how when Dr. Martin Luther King couldn't make payroll, Harry Belafonte and Aretha Franklin went on an 11-city tour to raise money for Martin Luther King. A lot of artists hang up Dr. King's photo, but Aretha went and raised money and gave it and worked free. Her daddy marched with Dr. King, and she never stopped supporting. As the years went by and I developed National Action Network, and she would call my radio show and have me come to her affairs. She called me one day. She said, "Red Mal, I want to send you something." I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "What's your home address?" And she sent it. About 3 days later, I got a check made out National Action Network signed by Aretha Franklin. I saw about a month later, I said, "You know, I was so blown away. I grew up looking up to you that I framed that check." She said, "Boy, don't you have a copy machine?" She said, "You don't know how I am with my bank accounts. You better cash that check." And but all of her life, she supported the causes. She was a feminist before feminism was popular. She was a civil rights activist when it wasn't popular. She gave us pride, and she gave us a regal bar to reach. And that's why we're all here. We don't all agree on everything, but we agree on Aretha. And she fought for everybody. I remember when we were used to picket, Charles Williams and all of us jumping on the record industry, she said, "Now y'all leave Clive Davis alone. He's one of the good ones." She loved Clive and said, "We got to remember what happened to the Irish and what happened to Jews and what happened to blacks." And that is why we remember her legacy, because she sang a song for all of us. She was the soundtrack of the civil rights movement. If you track where we are, you can follow where Aretha had us. That's why when I look at her and James Brown, whose daughter's here, and others who paid a price, that opened the door, but never forgot where they came from. She was rooted in the black church. She was bathed in the black church. And she took the black church downtown and made folks that didn't know what the Holy Ghost was shout in the middle of a concert. You never saw her perform without her doing gospel, because she never was one to forget where she came from. And that's why we give her this great homegoing. We thank her for what she did with Dr. King. We thank her for what she's done with Reverend Jackson. We thank her for what she's done with all of us. And that is why, you know, the other Sunday on my show, I misspelled respect. And a lot of y'all corrected me. Now I want y'all to help me correct President Trump to teach him what it means. And I say that because when word had went out that Miss Franklin passed, Trump said she used to work for me. No, she used to perform for you. She worked for us. Aretha never took orders from nobody but God. So, Retha, as you get your rest, my mother passed about 6 years ago. President Clinton, my mother and I had a deal. She said, I'll meet you on the other side. You live the way you're supposed to, and I'll see you in heaven. I said, well, Ma, they tell me there is no bodies in heaven, just spirits. How am I going to know you? I know her sons. How will I know it? She said, I tell you, you meet me at the exchange counter. I said, exchange counter? What kind of exchange counter? She said, well, right after you get through the Golden Gates, there's an exchange counter. That's where you hand in your cross to pick up your crown. We watched Aretha bear her cross down here. She had to sing with a broken heart. She had to work when she didn't get paid. She was a black woman in a white man's world. She bared her cross. She fought a good fight. Now it's time to crown the queen. I'll see you at the exchange counter where you can now hand in your cross. Ain't no cancer over there, Aretha. Hand in your cross and pick up your crown. As I take my seat, I've been asked to read this. Don't do that. Because I only have 5 minutes and y'all will make me go into something else. Dear friends and family of Aretha, Michelle and I extend our heartfelt sympathies to all of those.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's eldest daughter, sitting in for the Rev today. Rev is traveling. He's heading back now from Chicago, Illinois, where he paid homage and attended and also eulogized one of his dearest friends, a stalwart figure in the struggle, a community leader and political analyst, Brother Dwight McKee. And so Reverend Sharpton is heading back from Chicago, where he unfortunately had to bury a great friend of his, a dear friend. It's hard to find good friends nowadays. And Rev is having to, lay to rest. He's having to actually live to see his friends passing on. And so I know that is definitely something very hard to deal with. And we know that although, Rev is a fierce giant and a strong man, but even Rev is still human. And so we ask you to keep Rev in your prayers as he had to really do this very emotional and very hard thing today. But we are exhaling for Rev. We exhaling for each other. We exhaling on this Friday. And as always, you can call in and exhale with us on this Friday. Call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And we are joined, as we are every Exhale Friday, by the one and only Reverend Charles Williams Jr., pastor of the historic King Solomon Baptist Church in Michigan, and of course the chairman of National Action Network's Michigan chapter in the state of Michigan. Reverend Charles Williams, how you doing? Good afternoon.
What up, though, as we say in Detroit? It's certainly always good to be with you.
Yeah, it's been a while, huh?
You know as well as I know, we are certainly sending our prayers out to the Chicago family and to Reverend Sharpton as he eulogized earlier today. Yeah. Brother Dwight McKee, one who was a political activist for a long time, advisor, and mentor to so many of us, and certainly he will be missed. I was thinking, Dominique, as we are excelling today, that there are people who talk about being a part of the movement and then there are people who are actively engaged in the movement. Brother Dwight, one of those people who was actively engaged. He took what God gave him, used his brain, used his brand, used his time, his talent, his temp, and he engaged the movement in the way that it worked for so many, and so many people were impacted because of his advisement of Reverend Sharpton and Reverend Jackson and the entire movement. But I bring that up because it really reinforces to me that we all have a role to play in the movement. We all got a role to play in fighting for justice and peace and power and prosperity. And so many of us, we are muzzling the ox. So many of us are burying our talents. We're almost like the individual who buried their talents, and then when the master came back to see what they had come up with, they had nothing but the same thing that they were given. What we have and what we're given is not to be buried, is not to be muzzled, but it's to be used to continue to build this movement. And so I just want to enthuse people as you're listening today, as you are exhaling today, to really consider making today the day that you decide that I'm going to get all the way into the movement. We're thinking about people like Reverend Jackson, who gave their entire life, and even up until last week, enthusing everybody to get out and feed folks all over the country. 2,000 churches feed thousands of people all over the country. That's the entire life. That's commitment. So don't bury your talent. Don't bury what God gave you. We need your work. We need your effort. So if you're listening and you say, today is the day I'm tired of sitting on the sideline, I'm tired of being an armchair activist, I'm tired of being a bedside revolutionary, I'm ready to get involved. I'm not going to just be a commentator. I'm going to be an agitator.
All right.
Then get involved. Join us by going to nationalactionnetwork.net and decide that you're going to put your hand in our hand and get down in the dirt with us as we continue to fight for justice, peace, power, and prosperity. If you don't go online, you can call our office. We always got somebody there at the House of Justice, 877-626-4651. But make this the day and the time and the opportunity. Don't wait till it's too late, till you laid up across that casket and ain't nobody can't do nothing. You can't do nothing for nobody at that point. Get involved now. Get up, get into it, and get involved.
Well, the minister of Motown, as Rodney Jones on our chat, our mayor of Queensbridge, is calling you. I loved it. I had to share.
Oh, boy.
The minister of Motown. I'm going to add that to you, to your bio, Reverend Williams.
I'll take it.
That was a good one. Let's go back to the phones. We got folks waiting to exhale with us. Let's go to line 1 to Steel Bill, my buddy, listening to us from Cincinnati on the buzz. You're keeping it real. Steel Bill?
This is the day the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. It is truly a pleasure and a treat. Hello, Miss Dominique Sharpton.
Hello. How are you?
Oh, I am doing great. The Lord is good. As always, I come on the show and I shower your Father with nothing but praise and nothing but, just plain praise for his stellar work. And
Absolutely.
it's truly a pleasure to talk to you.
Yes, same here.
I definitely plan for 2026. The James Brown song comes to mind is Get Involved. And I will get involved with everything from volunteering, as well as continue on being on this show, speaking the truth, telling it like it is. Donald Trump, I tell you the truth, he is a man that just has no integrity, no malice of what he does. And it's just a matter of time before he meets the Almighty God and stands before him with his mouth wide open, answering for every sin that he has created. And Dominique, I tell you, You have definitely been a female influence as far as the black community is concerned. You are truly a sister. And I just want to just keep in mind that, everything in the black community isn't bad. You have a bunch of black Republicans that are just twisted and everything as far as following, the path of Donald Trump. And I'm just going to just keep my faith in God because I look at God as my judge. I look at God as my president. And I look at God as just my heavenly Father. And I know you got a lot of callers to get to, so I'm going to cut it
That's
short.
all right.
But Dominique, you keep it real. Keep it real.
I gotta share this story with you still, Bill, because I was talking with my dad. This was probably a couple weeks ago, and he had just finished the radio show talking, keeping it real. And so I came in the office, and he was like, "Man, I mean, there's this one guy that calls in. He's from Cincinnati, and he's got to be your biggest fan because he knows how to do keeping it real better than you." And I was like, "Still, Bill." I knew exactly who he's talking about, so I just want to thank you because you gave me that moment with my dad that was invaluable. I just appreciate you, brother, as always. It's really important to be encouraging, and so I thank you for yours.
And thank you, Reverend Williams, for your services. You are not ignored. So God bless you all and keep it real. Bye.
Right on. Charles, there's a lot going on, and it's important to have these moments where we could just, smile and take in the moment. But there's a lot going on. I want to talk about this whole redistricting thing that has been happening. So Trump got this major win in the redistricting in terms of the state of Texas. And I wanted to talk about, get your take on that, because as we are talking about, of course, why voting is important in general. And of course, really emphasizing that local elections are important too. But when we start to see these things happening where they're literally starting to redraw lines and influencing states, right, to be able to do this, to impact and influence the vote in a major way. I mean, we may feel it's subtle because we may not live in that area, or we may not really see the ramifications that are happening right as they are. But they have real serious implications in how this process works fairly, right, moving forward. And it seems that they're trying to find subtle ways, even though they are loud, but they are subtle ways to really keep the control or maintain the control in terms of how we are electing and being involved in the process of voting. So I wanted to throw that out there, give you through the break to get your thoughts together because I want to hear from you. But it's Exhale Friday. We're taking your calls across the country. You can also join in on the conversation today and exhale with us. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton and Williams. We'll be right back.
Democratic presidential candidate, Reverend Al Sharpton.
Thank you. Tonight, I want to address my remarks in two parts. One, I'm honored to address the delegates here. Last Friday, I had the experience in Detroit of hearing President George Bush make a speech. And in the speech, he asked certain questions. I hope he's watching tonight. I would like to answer your questions, Mr. President. to our chairman, our delegates, and all that are assembled, we're honored and glad to be here tonight. I'm glad to be joined by supporters and friends from around the country. I'm glad to be joined by my family, Kathy, Dominique, who will be 18, and Ashley. We are here 282 years after, right here in Boston, we fought to establish the freedoms of America. The first person to die in the Revolutionary War is buried not far from here, a black man from Barbados named Crispus Attucks. 40 years ago, in 1964, Fannie Lou Hamer and the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party stood at the Democratic Convention in Atlantic City fighting to preserve voting rights for all Americans and all Democrats regardless of race or gender. Hamer's stand inspired Dr. King's March in Selma, which brought about the Voting Rights Act of 1965. 20 years ago, Reverend Jesse Jackson stood at the Democratic National Convention in San Francisco, again appealing to preserve those freedoms. Tonight, we stand with those freedoms at risk and our security as citizens in question. I have come here tonight to say the only choice we have to preserve our freedom at this point in history is to elect John Kerry, the President of the United States. I stood with both John Kerry and John Edwards over 30 occasions in debates during the primary season. And I rated them, I watched them, I observed their deeds, I looked into their eyes. I am convinced that they are men who say what they mean and mean what they say. I am also convinced that at a time when a vicious spirit in the body politic of this country that attempts to undermine America's freedoms, our civil rights, our civil liberties, we must leave this city and go forth and organize this nation for victory for our party and John Kerry and John Edwards in November. But let me quickly say, this is not just about winning an election. It's about preserving the principles on which this very nation was founded. Look at the current view of our nation worldwide as a result of our unilateral foreign policy. We went from unprecedented international support and solidarity on September 12, 2001, to hostility and hatred as we stand here tonight. We can't survive in the world by ourselves. How did we squander this opportunity to unite the world for democracy and to commit to the global fight against hunger and disease? We did it with a going-alone foreign policy based on flawed intelligence. We were told that we were going to Iraq because there were weapons of mass destruction. We lost hundreds of soldiers. We spent $200 billion at a time we had record state deficits. And when it became clear that there were no weapons, they changed the premise for the war and said, no, we went because of other reasons. If I told you tonight to let's leave the fleet center, we're in danger. And when you get outside, you ask me, Reverend Al, what is the danger? And I say, it don't matter, we just needed some fresh air. I have misled you, and we were misled. also faced with the prospect of, in the next 4 years, that 2 or more Supreme Court justices' seats will become available. This year, we celebrated the anniversary of Brown versus the Board of Education. This court has voted 5-4 on critical issues of women's rights and civil rights. It is frightening to think that the gains of civil and women's rights and those movements in the last century could be reversed if this administration is in the White House in these next 4 years. I suggest to you tonight that if George Bush had selected the court in '54, Clarence Thomas would have never got to law school. This is not about a party. This is about living up to the promise of America. The promise of America says we will guarantee quality education for all children and not spend more money on metal detectors than computers in our schools. The promise of America guarantees health care for all of its citizens and doesn't force seniors to travel to Canada to buy prescription drugs they can't afford here at home. The promise of America provides that those who work in our healthcare system can afford to be hospitalized in the very beds they clean up every day. The promise of America is that government does not seek to regulate your behavior in the bedroom, but to guarantee your right to provide food in the kitchen. The issue of government is not to determine who may sleep together in the bedroom. It's to help those that might not be eating in the kitchen.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Charles Williams sitting in today on this Exhale Friday. You can join in on the conversation with us. Exhale with us, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Our message board is also lit up as people are also watching us via live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. Charles, we were talking before the break. I wanted to get your take real quick on this whole redistricting situation that's been happening. We had some callers that were talking about it earlier. But really wanted to get your take on it, as I know that you are a voice of our generation, and we really, as we're looking to dismantle a lot of things, right, that are happening to us now, and gains that we fought, so vehemently for, and seeing how people and powers are really, really working hard, strategic, right, in what they're doing to try and dismantle our vote and keep us out of this process even further.
I really think where we are, Dominique, is we've got to this is our quite honestly, this is our voting rights movement of the 21st century. This is our Selma moment. This is our fight for democracy, because districting is an issue about is representation, right? And who represents you, how you and how these lines are represented and whether you are actually represented in Congress.
Mm-hmm.
And so realistically, I mean, I think as we move forward, we all have to be thinking about what is our strategy forward in regards to how we get democracy in action and how do we move democracy.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that be, is there policy that we pushing forth on the local level? This is one of those fights that we got to fight on the local level and on the national level. But if we fight it on the local level, we got more to gain and more. There's more opportunity to gain on the local level than it is on the national level, where we have a fixed Supreme Court and we crazy president and don't have a majority in Congress.
Mm-hmm.
But on the state legislature side, whether it be California, whether it be Michigan, whether it be even Texas, you can move legislators around real quick, right? You can move little small state assemblymen around real quick. You can move them in and you can move them out. And so what does that mean? Well, it really means it's two things. One, we got to continue to show public display. But secondly, we must register folk to vote.
Mm-hmm.
We must register folk to vote. We must educate folk. And then we have to turn them out. And it doesn't matter whether they're Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter whether they're white, black. If folks understand that democracy is under attack, I have seen even in Michigan in fights against emergency management and in other laws that were overreach to democracy.
Right.
All folks have interest in standing up and fight back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But you know, and then this particular incident is a major strategic win, right? Even for Trump. Even though he's not directly like on the case, you know, this, as you said, it can affect, you know, the House control. It can affect the certification, right, of how elections are being decided upon. It can affect investigations, right? And really the overall, as you pointed out, national political landscape. So I think it's important to continue to, you know, to not only talk about these things, but we got to be aware about it. And definitely I have to understand that now even more so as these things are happening, how important it is to be involved in this process and to exercise our rights by voting. Thank you. Let's go back to the phones. Let's talk with Naomi. Naomi listening to us from New York. Naomi, you're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon, Ms. Sharpton. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. This is actually my first time calling in.
All right.
And I really, really appreciate all the work that you and your father and the organization do for the community, but to the nation as a whole and the movement as a whole. I definitely was inspired. So much has been said. I'm going to try and be concise, but I will start with what we said about these are strange times, and there's a lot of intersectionality going on, things that are happening personally within our lives, things are happening politically within our lives, and also things that are happening spiritually. And we just got to keep that balance, and we have to make sure that there's intersectionality and that we stay strong in all of those aspects. And as it has been taught in some of the things, like I said, you said earlier, we have to pray on our leaders. And Reverend Sharpton, like you said, has the opportunity to live and have lived experience, but he's human too.
Yes.
And that humanity is why a lot of people follow him. And our leaders need to stay prayed up. Our leaders need encouragement and celebration too. And they're human, and that's why they do what we do. And a part of that, realizing that, is significant to health and wellness. And some of the things that I hear that are going in the political climate that are going on relate to those things. Like, jumping to the redistricting thing, we can't vote on things we don't know about. We can't be a part of and discuss things that we don't understand. And we just have to stay vigilant. I do know that there's a lot going on a local level that's a relative term. What does local mean? Does that mean within your state? Well, if something is happening in your capital, does that mean what's happening in your capital is what's happening in your neighborhood? For example, NYC. NYC is considered one of those places that set the pace for the nation. However, things that are happening upstate don't necessarily come downstate to
Right.
inner city like Central Harlem. So it might say on the chart, oh, Manhattan is getting all this money, X, Y, and Z, and it is. But is Central Harlem in Manhattan getting all that? I'm going to send you some statistics
Please.
in reference to some of the new stuff that has happened with the Office of Mental Health for the state of New York and our young people, the staggering rates of suicide rates among African American teens. It's horrifying. It's good and bad. Good meaning that we're starting to talk about what we want. I think that's because of resources like the Youth Huddle that give our young people the opportunities to speak out and say what's on our minds, and let the elders show the way, but let the youth lead that. So these conversations are now happening in policy rooms, but it doesn't help if those policy rooms don't reflect us. And what these advances don't trickle down to us. And it might seem like it's way beyond us and we don't have a voice, but we won't have a voice if we don't learn about it, and we won't have a voice if we keep using words that nobody understands. Like, the common person understands what hurt and pain and grief and loss is. If we can use statistics and mental health and use all kinds of big words, but at the end of the day, you say to someone, oh, are you in psychosis? Are you X, Y, and Z? And they'll look at you like you're crazy. But you say, oh, you're grieving because you lost somebody to gun violence. You're sad because you lost a friend. They'll understand that.
Or
and they'll
simply
have a lot
asking
to
somebody, how are you feeling today, right? How are you
Right,
doing?
right.
And being able to receive that answer, however it comes out, however that person feels comfortable in expressing that. But a simple, how are you doing today? Or how are you feeling can really even impact someone that you may not understand how, or you may not know how much.
Or giving someone the opportunity to say that. They might not feel comfortable.
Right.
So if you say something like, hi, how are you? Or would you like something to eat or drink, or what do you need? They understand that. But if you say, okay, what complex care services can I offer you today? They're going to look at you like that means nothing. So, yes, I'm going to send you some paperwork. And I wanted to take this opportunity to say, even though I'm physically not there, I'm being blessed by the opportunity to travel around and be a voice in rooms that a lot of people can't get in, and bring it back to the community. And that's exactly what I hope to do. And thank you for the simple reminders, because I need to be reminded too. I see Reverend as this great figure, national leader, but he's human. And just the basic of saying a word of prayer for him, just as the work and the prayers go out for us in the community, is also important too.
Well, you are sorely missed, Sister Naomi. You are sorely missed.
Oh, I'm here. I'm with you in spirit, virtually, but I am not physically there.
And your voice, we appreciate your voice. Thank you so much
look forward to those emails.
Yes, I will. Thank you so much for exhaling with us as well, Reverend Williams. I don't know if you know, but Sister Naomi is a singing sister too. I hear that music. We're gonna take this break. It's Exhale Friday. You can join in on the conversation, 1-877-532-5797. Get it in. Exhale with us. We'll be right back. More with Sharpton and Williams. Keeping it real. We'll be right back.
Keeping it real.
It's been a long time coming, but I'm
1968. Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
I have a dream today.
They can't kill the dreamer.
I'm here because I must be here. Democracy is not there for the pig, and you have to fight for democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
Is the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street. Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is squarely on your shoulders and in your hand. And if you want to defer and give your life choices to others, that's on you. If they have any sense at all, they will be so busy trying to conduct and properly guide their life, they will not have time to try to major in your life. Oh, do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited, and you should be excited too. Turn on WBLS 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you. And if you want to, you can come to the House of Justice and be there live. 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We kick off at 9. And we don't stop until we deal with getting our people energized.
This is the first Thanksgiving I'm here in New York. Over 20 years. I'm just glad to be here with Rev today and to hand out the food. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
It's Erica Ford, the Peace Doctor in the building. Here at the National Action Network, it's about thanks. It's about giving. It's about gratitude. It's about love. I feel it is important for you to understand that there's work out here to be done, but it starts with gratitude, it starts with giving, it starts with peace, it starts with love.
Let's go. Before we feed our family, we got to make sure that we feed the community. That's right. That's what it's all about. We have to come with Sharpton phones. You come and you make sure you show up, serve the community. That's what it's all about.
Oh,
Rev, you know, you were right there
from the beginning
with the stuff that
Yep.
was going on in Brooklyn at
Yep.
that time, at
Yep.
Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, but I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. We've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene you saw Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question.
Keeping it.
What was you waiting on that?
Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Charles Williams. Exhale Friday. As we wind down on this Exhale Friday, we got a lot to talk about and to put into perspective as we move through the weekend. And I know I got two important callers holding on, so I want to get to them, Reverend Williams. But as a way of announcements going into that, Reverend Sharpton will be back in New York momentarily and will be keynoting, as he does every Saturday. The National Action Network's Saturday Action Rally is going to start live at 9 o'clock a.m. at the House of Justice in Harlem, 106 West 145th Street. And we invite all of you to join us. And if you can't join us in person, you can join us and watch us live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. You can turn on Impact Television at 10 o'clock and watch the Rev. You can listen on WBLS FM radio, of course, at 10 as well. And also remember, on Saturday and Sunday evenings, Reverend Sharpton is live on Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, live on MS Now, starting at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So that's different times in different time zones. But we want you to, of course, tune in every Saturday and Sunday and watch the Rev on Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. Reverend Williams, give us the information for the Saturday rally happening in Detroit, as we also want to be involved.
You can join us 10 a.m. at the historic King Solomon Baptist Church, 6100 14th Street. This week we're getting ready for 2026. We talked about redistricting. We talked about democracy. We talked about voting rights. All of those are on the forefront in terms of what our next steps and what our actions are going to be. And, hey, I think Mary Sheffield might be coming by, so make sure you come on by and jump in to the Saturday Action Rally. That's 10 a.m. Historic King Solomon Baptist Church, 6100 14th Street.
Well, my sister and my brother going to be together in the same place. I'm having some bad FOMO over here.
Uh-oh.
I got to make my way down, too. But no, thank you for that, Reverend Williams. Let's go now to our leader, stalwart sister and leader in the movement, Sister Marcia McCoy, who's holding on listening to us, of course, from the greater area in Ohio, and certainly directs and chairs in a very profound and meaningful way, National Action Network's greater Cleveland chapter in Ohio. Good afternoon, Sister McCoy. Always a pleasure speaking with you, Queen, and always a pleasure hearing from you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to our beloved Hell's Kitchen producer, Tony Award-winning, keeping it.
We can't hear you. Turn her up, y'all. Turn her up so we can hear her. All right, we got you now.
Can you hear me clearly, darling?
Yes, we can.
Okay, again, let me repeat myself to our beloved Hell's Kitchen producer, Tony Award-winning, keeping it real leader, Dominique Sharpton.
God bless you.
And our Midwest region Director, Reverend Dr. Charles Williams II, where the Midwest is the best.
Oh, yeah.
Ben Crump is here in our city, in our state. We are so glad and honored to have him. But I'm going to keep it short because the mule is awaiting. Come on, Bishop.
Lady Dominic Sharp.
Yes, Reverend Cavanis.
Dominic Sharp.
Yes, sir. I'm
Lady
here.
Dominic Sharp.
Yes, sir.
All right, Dr. Charles Williams.
Yes, sir.
Oh, my mule, my brother.
I got you, Reverend.
Democracy trying to stay alive in the mega world of convicted felon Donald J. Trump is in serious danger and peril. Almost every principle and every moral concept, every iota of decency, dignity, decorum, honesty, integrity are on the chopping block. This contemptible, selfish, narcissistic man is the exact antithesis, the opposite of right and righteousness. His propensity and proclivity are to always dwell in the bottom of the toilet. If democracy were not in the way of this wannabe dictator and authoritarian despot, he would trash the Constitution and make this nation his way or the highway. There would be no such thing as diversity, equity, and inclusion. All people of color would be denied equal opportunity to hold our offices of power and significance. Apartheid would be in vogue as in the age of discrimination and segregation of the past. Democracy was dealt an almost fatal blow with the complicity of the Supreme Court, making him literally above the law, a dictator or a king. Since then, this corrupt, evil man has weaponized the government to do his bidding in retaliation and retribution. Civil servants have been replaced by suck-ups who do his dirty, low-down biddings of this white supremacist who is dedicated to making this country white again. He had literally weaponized the federal government to retaliate against law-abiding enforcement agencies and people who have followed the law and making him to be what he always will be, a convicted felon. But for the rule of law, or what is left of it, young girls would be endangered by the 10-year relationship of rape and sex trafficking. Jeffrey Epstein and the convicted felon President Donald Trump heaped upon young girls as early as 11 years of age. For the President of the United States of America to be friends for 10 years with a man who bought and passed around young girls is the epitome of shame, sin, and degradation. No greater disgrace can be assigned to a so-called Christian nation. May the good Lord save this democracy. In convicted felon Donald Trump's MAGA world, when a white person is killed by a person of color, it's genocide. And when a white person kills a black person, it is justified and of no effect. In his Trump towers, the government has to make him rent to Asians and blacks. The higher you go in Trump's tower, the whiter it gets. In convicted Donald Trump's world, all that matters is gold, ballrooms, opulence, power, cutting taxes for the rich, and using government to make his family billionaires. He doesn't care about poor people who don't have enough money to buy a house, pay their rent, buy food for the families, and to make it day to day. Rising prices are not his priority or in his eminent domain. Just make it as you can. His interest is in winning the Nobel Peace Prize and becoming a dictatorial king. Democracy is in jeopardy, and we must do our best by voting to make this back to where it should be. Thank you, Lady
Yes,
Sharpton.
sir. Reverend E.T. Cavanis. Thank you so much. Thank you for keeping it real. As always, it's always a pleasure to hear from our leaders. And Reverend Cavanis is certainly one who has stood in the fight for us for so many years. So we thank you for your voice and thank you for your leadership. Reverend Williams, you want to give us a closing word? I know we got one more caller. I don't know if we got time. What you want to do? Tell me.
Let's get the last caller in.
All right, Dr. Andrew.
They hung up.
They hung up. Okay. Well, go ahead. You got us. I know you do.
Well, I tell you what, Dominique, it's you and I and Ashley and so many others, Stephen and so many others. This ball is in our court. The fight's in our hands. This is the time that we have, and I want to invite folks to just make sure you come on into this movement, so that we don't go backwards. We got so much ahead of us.
Absolutely.
And we don't have to just worry about Donald Trump. We got Donald Trump Jr. somewhere in the wings waiting. We got Donald Trump the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, somewhere in the waiting. So the fight is going to continue, and we got to be the ones to continue to keep this fight alive. We got the strategy. They gave it to us. We got the Reverend Jacksons, the Reverend Sharptons, we got the Reverend Shuttlesworths, we got the Reverend Lowrys, we got the Reverend Vivians, we've got the Coretta Scott Kings, we've got all those who've given us so much. So now it's in our hands, and it's all about what we do with it. So, Dominique, Sister Dominique, let's keep this going and let's get ready for 2026 to keep the fight alive.
Yes, sir. Thank you to Reverend Williams, Reverend Charles Williams, who always joins us and exhales with us on Friday. I want to thank all of those who called through, got through, and exhaled with us. I want to thank those on the message board who gave us information and inspiration in the chat. I want to thank, of course, our producer, standing in for Fatim Muhammad, Brother Chris Reynolds, our tech producer, DJ Phil, and our phone tech and segment producer, DJ Wire. And as Reverend Sharpton says, whatever you do, wherever you go, and however you feel, make sure you tell somebody. Reverend Sharpton told you. Dominique Sharpton told you. Reverend Williams told you. Y'all gotta keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. Have a great weekend. We'll talk with y'all on Monday.